What is this? What is this? Patterns in nature. Yes. The nautilus shell and the spiral arrow. Allopolyphila. Yes. Yes. Oh, look. What is that? What is that? Those are electron orbitals. Yay! And it's a Death Star. The death of a star. Birth of a cell. Well, so somehow, wow, they're just comparing these two. But um, what is going on? That's atomic orbital. Look at all this. Look, the in and out and in and out and in. And the bouncing up and down and in and out and in and oh, you love it. You love it because it's what you worship. And look at it. It's like it's some glory hole in a sphincter, and you just gotta put it in. Oh yeah, it's so good, right? And oh look, it even has Harry Potter numbers, and wow, it's amazing. Right? Look, that's what we're watching. Wow, that's a Death Star. Wow, that is the death of a of a star of a sun. That's what it is. Even though it's just a guess, right? Harry Potter number things that just mean a guess at where some bash thing is gonna be, which it won't be in. Because the electron is here and there and sometimes there but never there and blah blah blah. It's just the theory of the electron. Nobody knows where it is, but somehow it behaves and wow, it does that, this, that. So this is what it is, apparently. Amazing. And all the shells of where it jumps and where it comes down to, and all these blah blah blah. And you have to excite it to just blast into the next one. Oh, it's just amazing. Right? It's just the best. Look, it's right there. Look, of course. Oh, the death of a star is also an atom, right? The of course. In atomic theory, and quantum mechanics, an atomic orbital is a mathematical function. Yes, this is what it is. Look, guys, that's what it is. That describes the wave-like behavior of either one electron or a pair of electrons in an atom. Oh, the atom! Right? That is somehow it's the proton and neutron, blah blah blah, and somehow there's vast space, and the electron is just splashing somewhere in there. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Right? Look, amazing. Early models, the Bohr atom, right? What? Wow, just crucial, right? The plum, the plum pudding model, all of course, a favorite, and also delicious. And it's just, of course, relentless targets. Look, so precise and not precise, and theory and not theory, and all amazing. And somehow, it's a formula, a function, mathematical, right? Quantum in quantum physics says. Oh, wow. Modern conceptions and connections. So the uncertainty principle. Oh, we're just uncertain, and therefore that's our certainty. Our uncertainty is our certainty, and therefore we have predicted this model and presented it forth and it's a death, the death of a star now. Even though it's just a prediction, the death of a star somehow that is observable has proven us correct. Is that what's going on? Or they're just using this to theorize what the death of a star looks like. Who knows? But it's just amazing. Suggested that the electron's position needed to be described by a probability distribution, which was connected with finding the electron at some point in the wave function, right? Which describes its associated wave pocket. Of course. Of course. Of course. And yes. Oh, quantum numbers. Yes. Because of the quantum mechanic nature of electrons around a nucleus, atomic orbitals can be uniquely defined by a set of integers known as quantum numbers. These quantum numbers only occur in certain combinations of values, and their physical interpretations changes depending on whether real or complex versions of the atomic orbitals are employed. Real or complex. So somehow complexity is not real? Amazing. Amazing. And then they go ahead and explain what complex is. Oh, amazing. Real orbitals. An atom that is embedded in a crystalline solid fills multiple preferred axes, but often no preferred direction. Instead of building atomic orbitals out of product of radial functions and a single spherical harmonic, linear combinations of spherical harmonics are typically used, designed so that the imaginary part of the spherical harmonics cancel out. The real orbitals are the building blocks most commonly shown in orbital visualization. So these are the real orbitals that they're usually bashed. That's the imagery you see. Wow, smashed. Shapes of orbitals. Some pictures showing orbital shapes are intended to describe the angular forms of regions in space where the electrons occupying the orbitals are likely to be found. The diagrams cannot show the entire region where an electron can be found, since, according to quantum mechanics, there is a non-zero probability of finding the electron almost anywhere in space. A non-zero probability. Amazing. A non-zero probability. So not just zero, a non-zero. So it's anything but zero probability of finding the electron almost anywhere in space. So it could be anywhere. It's in and out, and just so fast. You can't even see it. You're spun. Amazing. So somehow it's just the red and the blue light. Amazing. Wow. Worship of the light. Amazing. And somehow it's this, and then this and this and that just fills the whole sphere. Amazing. All because the sphere is your parameters. Wow, look at all of them. Wow, wow. Uncertainty principle again. Look. Oh yeah, the endless trampoline sucking you in and out, bouncing up and down, giving you thrills. And you say, no, 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 it's the in and out, the probabilities of this and that and this and that. Real wave function of two S orbitals. Real part, D cut. 2D cut. Yes. Thank goodness this exists. Wow. Without this, life is nothing. Whoa. And you'll say, oh, of course, life without this, you wouldn't have computers. Oh, wow. Not to use your life exactly smashed. That's what you define life to be. Your rituals in life, right? Your rituals in life, your patterns. what you come to just experience as your expectation in your worship, your expectation of your worship of Groundhog Day, status quo, but you relentlessly just throw tantrums of why, this sucks. I'm gonna try and better my situation relentlessly. Oh, this sucks. I'm gonna try and better my situation relentlessly. Oh, this sucks. I'm gonna try and better my situation relentlessly. Oh, this sucks. As you're just bashed. You have zero love to give. All the while you just cry when just the love of your life supposedly left you, or this, or somehow you just bashed. You never, you can't quite get to where you think you're going. This and that smashed. Or even if you got to where you got to now, and you're like, wow, that was it. Oh, this sucks. Oh, I'm gonna have to try and better it somehow. Oh, this sucks. I'm gonna have to try and better it somehow. Exactly. All because of pattern of what you are doing, based on some past pattern that you think you know, just because you can do all the math equations and draw the orbitals and do the exact, location of the electron, and fill in the whatever expectations of your tests, right? Your exams. Oh, I need to fill this, right? The orbital of this and that and this and the atom of this charge at this function and this and that and that. Okay, show me. And then you go and do it. And you're like, oh, oh my god, I hope I got it right. I hope I got 100 on that one. And then you did, and you're like, whoa, yes, it paid off that I learned all this bash. That means nothing. It means a theory of what they think the smallest thing is and does. Even though the living is showing relentlessly, whoa, that life brings forth life, whoa, and you're trying to find this dice, this smallest little thing, when all the while you're just using electricity that you have no idea what it is, but you're just, putting it through cables and fiber up and this and that, and it's just amazing showing you things and blah, 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 blah. Somehow it's just electromagnetics, and somehow it's the electric universe that you now worship, and blah blah blah, and this and that and this and that and that and that. Wow, what is electricity then? Where does it come from? Who knows? You can't create nor destroy energy. That's what you believe, and this and that and that and this and that and that. And the law of this and that, and the law of that, and the law of this, and the law to sleep. Exactly. All the while you think you're alive, but you relentlessly watch Living Dead shows, and who knew it was a mockery of you? Each orbital in an atom is characterized by a unique set of values of three quantum numbers: NLM, nullum, nullum, gollum, gollum, unu, nullum, nihilatum, which respectively correspond to the electron's energy, angular monument, momentum, and angular momentum vector, which respectively correspond to the electron's energy, or whatever. I read that again. Component, bash, meh. Right, exactly. It just little predictions, and then you can't wait to speed them up and blast them against, crash them, and just see what happens. And who knows? This is just blasting you. You're just trying to make a pattern based on the pattern of life. You're trying to create relentless counterfeits of what already is by your observation of it somehow. And then by through your observation then saying, this is what it is. Wow, smashed. All while you're just creating bash counterfeits of the masterpiece that life already is and does. All while you're trying to define it and do over it somehow. Impose your will on earth. Wow, who knew that was destruction, theft, and killing? Bloodbath, who knew? But you look around and that's what you see, and you're like, nope, that's not what it is. We just have to somehow better ourselves using the same belief system, meaning this, that got us into it to begin begin with. And you say, no, 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 this is good. This is the belief and worship of this is good because it's made us do all the grand accomplishments of modern times. Don't you see? You say, dummy, don't you see? Of course. How could you not say that this is amazing, right? Well, you're a master sorcerer and witch that can do all the calculations and all the little drawings and get them correct. Wow, what does that mean about knowing any wisdom of life? Exactly means nothing. Well, it allows us, to kind of engineer new things and buy screens and this and that and technologies. Wow, really? That just help you in the patterns that you're already doing or somehow promising yourself that you won't have to do because of some said technology. So you're just denying the pattern that is life. And you're trying to create your own pattern, your past imagery of patterns that you say you have found out and created. And just because you can make them equal each other and just balance out on paper, what does that mean? Oh, it's the theory behind it that somehow is encoded in the sigils that we use, and that's how blah blah blah, and it's all mathematical functions. Don't you know? Input output, right? We're just little tiny computers, so it just makes sense. We're just bunch of zeros and ones and this and that and this and that. So that's what we're doing. Oh, right. No, you have created a counterfeit of the masterpiece, which life, what you call a life, the living, is. Yet you mistake it for what? A life that you can create for yourself using knowledge like this to somehow give you power. Well, who knew that knowledge like this gives you power over what? Nothing. It's just boast. Okay? It's just boast. The atomic theory. Exactly. Which states that the matter is composed of discrete units called atoms, right? The atom theory. So now it's now quantum. Well, so again, death of a star, some bash, probability. Image of a probability. Helix nebula, wow, it's the eyes. So somehow, the eye, see? So just, of course, this is all CGI to the left, and this is, an eye. So they're saying, whoa, CGI is just like the eye. No, the eye, right, is an eye, a masterpiece. And this is something that looks like an eye that was created by some bash computer and resulted as an image. Okay? Oh, the universe. Somehow the universe, they know what the universe is, and the brain cells of. So CGI now, CGI. Amazing. Just crossfire, just electrical, just, false contact, just singeing. Same, right? Oh, what is this, Bash? And you're like, well, of course we just have to make movies of it because we can't actually go into your brain and put a camera in there, can we, silly? Right, but you need this to worship even more. You need this to actually just put yourself both in fantasy, right? Both ways, in and out, because this is the outer, the cosmos, the macro and the micro, the quantum, cosmic, right? So you're lost in both places all while just bashing in life. But you're saying I'm trying to be present in the power of now. Wow, again, just lost in time. It's some bash notion of chronology, chronological time that's kept by some quantum clock. It's just so precise, right? And all this bash down to what? Nothing. You're you're just wasting away, counting down, right? Ticking away. To you, you're just some tick tock that one day will stop. Wow, what a shame. You've ignored the living. Formation of the universe. Oh, because they know what the formation of the universe looks like. Again, image worship. Neurons under microscope. Whoa, right? Look at it. So neurons somehow resemble the Spanish interpretation of what the formation of the universe looked like. Oh, look at all those fast explosions. The Milky Way galaxy, right? It's a fast spiral, right? It's not going, you don't see it moving, but this is relentlessly smashing. Here, Katrina from space. So somehow we have a satellite, imagery of Katrina, a space, but nothing else, right? Or what? Why aren't there 24 hours, 27, 24/7, you know, relentless footage of other stuff from space like this? But no, it's just a hurricane. But no, it's because it's CGI. Or high altitude plane. So there's no what is space? This, of course, fabrication. Look, what is this? Oh, Hubble has been here, so that's how we know. Hubble, right? It's a mockery, right, of the humble. What? Of the humble essence that you just lack and are only in name, right? On paper only because you think it's a good thing to put down on your resume or bash or whenever I am humble. Or no, to you, you're just like, no, I'm proud and I love it. Get out of my way. Smash, right? They don't give a damn. Exactly. Lost. Oh, the Nautilus shell. The Nautilus. And again, the spiral aloe polyphila. Right, see? Oh, the yin and the yang. Right? Because what? It's all about patterns, right? Patterns in nature. Patterns in nature, right? Oh, the natural philosophies. Oh. Patterns in nature are visible regularities of form found in the natural world. These patterns recur in different contexts and can sometimes be modeled mathematically, right? Fractals. Natural patterns include symmetries, trees, spirals, meanders, waves, foams, tessellations, cracks, and stripes. Early Greek philosophers studied patterns. Wow, who knew they couldn't wait to just bash you with that. With Plato, Pythagoras, and Empedocles, attempting to explain order in nature. Wow. Could it be that these were the beginnings of the doctrine of the counterfeit? Yes. A rehash of what already was. Who knew that you wouldn't have to even write down what it was because you knew what it was? So it was just obvious. But no, you needed to write down somehow just relentless philosophies, counterfeits to the certitude, to the already certitude of the Word of God. What does it? I mean, philosophies are the musing around. Is the meandering, right? Of what? Wordsmithing and temptation. Where the human psyche, right, apparently will go, and all based in doubt. There's no, certainty to the philosopher is hilarious. He's like, there's no absolutes, and this and that, or maybe some say that there is, and no, and others don't, and this. Oh, it's a relentless debate, or this or the other. Well, that's why philosophy exists, because there's no certitude. Therefore, we're the relentless traveler, and we stumble relentlessly. In the 19th century, Belgian physicist blah 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 exp- ex- examined soap films, leading to him to formulate the concept of a minimal surface. Right. So the modern understanding of the visible patterns developed gradually over time. So the modern understanding of visible patterns, right? So other understandings of patterns happen instantaneously, because it's only modern understanding of visible patterns that have developed gradually over time. Mm. Right? Causes. Living things like orchids, hummingbirds, and peacock tail have abstract designs with a beauty of form, pattern, and color that artists struggle to match. The beauty that people perceive in nature has cause at different levels, notably in the mathematics that governs what patterns can physically form, and among living things and the effects of natural selection that govern how patterns evolve. Of course, they couldn't wait. Mathematics seeks to discover and explain abstract patterns or regularities of all kinds, right? To mimic, to you know, to describe in counterfeit, and then say it as use the boast, the name of mathematics as the name to boast behind, and saying, yes, now we know what it is. Well, when you can see what it is and wow, know what it is, the masterpiece. It's a masterpiece of the wisdom of the creator and his creation. Who knew? Wow, but no, somehow it has to be described mathematically in order for you to even say, okay, I understand it. Smashed. Types of, okay, whatever, Bosh, right? But what are patterns, right? If not rituals, right? Things that that happen over and over, and you can see it, and you can say, well, just like they said, the orchids and this and blah blah blah. So yeah, the same can be said for rituals, because it's things that you see or do over and over again, and it's the same expectation. You're like, well, yeah, amazing. A ritual is a sequence of activities involving gestures, words, and objects performed in a sequestered place and performed according to set sequence patterns. Rituals may be prescribed by the traditions of community, including a religious community. Rituals are characterized but not defined by formalism, traditionalism, invariance, rule governance, sacral symbolism, and performance of what? They don't say, just performance. Rituals are a feature of all known human societies. Of all known, they include not only the worship, rites, and sacraments of organized religions and cults, but also rites and passage, atonement, and purification rites, oaths of allegiance, who knew brother in the brotherhoods, dedication ceremonies, coming of age ceremonies of rites, coronations, and presidential inaugurations. Marriages and funeral schools, rush traditions and graduations. Who knew? Wow, Halloween, exactly. Christmas, blah, blah, blah. It's all ritualistic behavior. And scientific symposia, right, are loaded with purely symbolic actions prescribed by regulations or tradition, and thus partly ritualistic in nature. Partly, though, right? They say, oh, and thus partly ritualistic in nature. Even common actions like handshaking and saying hello may be termed rituals, right? So now they're saying that everything is ritual, but of course, right? It's the ritualized behavior based on a worship, but they don't say it. They say, oh, it's just a ritual that has worship. No, if everything is a ritual, then surely what drives the even contemplation to ritualize something? Oh, just circumstance. Who knows, right? Well, what is a ritual, right? And so this paper, right, say why ritualized behavior, precaution systems, and action parsing in developmental, pathological, and cultural rituals. Abstract. Ritualized behavior, intuitively recognizable by its stereotypy, rigidity, repetition, and apparent lack of rational motivation, is found in a variety of life conditions, customs, and everyday practices. In cultural rituals, whether religious or non religious, in many children's complicated routines, in the pathology of obsessive compulsive disorders, in normal adults around certain stages of the life cycle, birthing in particular, combining evidence from evolutionary anthropology, neuropsychology, and neuromaging, neuroimaging, but of course, neuromaging, neuromagic, but neuroimaging. Wow, amazing. We propose an explanation of ritualized behavior in terms of an evolved precaution system geared to the detection of and reaction to inferred threats to fitness. This system distinct This system, distinct from fear systems geared to respond to manifest dangers, includes a repertoire of clues for potential danger as well as a repertoire of species typical precautions. In OCD pathology, this system does not supply a negative feedback to the appraisal of potential threats, resulting in doubts about the proper performance of precautions and repetition of actions. Also, anxiety levels focus the attention on low level gestural units of behavior rather than on the goal related higher level units normally used in parsing the action flow. Normally, automized actions are submitted to cognitive control. This swamps working memory, an effect of which is a temporary relief from intrusions, but also their long term strengthening. So they're just making, of course, their conclusions about how it is that rituals, ritualized behavior evolved, and why could it be explained that wow, all these conditions exist, and wow, this and that. Normal activation of this precaution system explains the intrusions about the ritual behavior in normal adults. Gradual calibration of the system occurs through childhood rituals. Yes. Cultural mimicry of this system's normal input makes cultural rituals attention grabbing and compelling. Right? So the things that you learn, the rituals that you learned as a child, and then you mimic them and try and be compatible, right? In the already ritualistic attention grabbing and compelling, right? Systems input, right? And what they output. A number of empirical predictions follow from this synthetic model. Wow. So who knew? And who knew that it's a interesting read and it's available. Go and read it. But conclusions are models of individual and cultural ritualization a staring take as oh, wow. Our models of individual and cultural ritualization take as a starting point a specific connection between obsessive pathology and security motivation. but also a more general set of assumptions about the adaptive character of specialized neurocognitive function. We have assumed that the hazard precaution system was the outcome of selective pressure for gradually finer grained inferential detection of an appropriate response to recurrent hazards in ancestral environments. Wow, I mean, wow, it's just relentless. But of course, rituals, patterns, right? What does this guy say? Time is an illusion, right? Because if a pattern reoccurs in time, right, you assume time.
Time does not exist if there is no memory. Memory, you were saying that we're seeing
So time does not exist if there's no memory. Amazing, right? Then you would have Alzheimer's or some other, don't they say that they'd eat your brain? So your brain is being, it's just carved out, trawled. But that's where you want to go, Berlin. So you're like, oh, I just go sit down and just go into the abyss. That's what he's doing right now. But no, be still in the Lord. Be still with the Lord. Fast and pray, right? I mean, if that's what's ultimate, what memory? You were saying that we're seeing that at the time, but what is this guy saying?
that time and psychology are connected and so on. Memory is what produced the concept of time, meaning
Memory does not produce the concept of time. Nope. Some kind of linear progression. No. When you remember something, do you? Wow. Sometimes it's just it brings an emotive state, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be immediately correlated with a chronological something. And who knew that you can inject false memories into somebody, right? You can traumatize somebody, or you can go into their psyche and bash them with imagery. Well, it's called hypnosis and all this bash and just mind bashing through light, right? And all this bash, 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 bash. So what's this guy saying, right? Through memory is how time, we know, blah, blah, we think time, but what memory? What are you talking about?
because you
Time was a creation. Because yeah, you can say, wow, use the word time to describe generations that lived prior to me, generations ago, or there will be a generation when, meaning everything is in the living. Life brings life forth relentlessly. Life, wow, so that life is life, and there's no such thing as time in the sense of a linear bash. There never was, but it was used. So now you're saying, well, there is no time. No, because to you now you have your bash model, right? Your tourist to just bash out there and not enter. So you can now say there's no time because you have your bash alternative to bash in. When the answer is no, life is the true promise. That's all there ever is, was, and ever will be. For the living, for those who choose a life and obey in its ordinance of what? Bringing forth life instead of bringing forth death relentlessly and just worshiping death. For those who choose that, of course, that's what it is, death. Surely in the flesh, this flesh dies. Wow, who knew? In the sense of in your self-awareness dies somehow. And you say, well, yeah, that's enlightenment and this. No. For isn't there resolve in the pattern, right, that you see as creation, that you describe as, you know, the atom, blah blah blah? Isn't there something there, right? What is it? There's a purpose to it all. Resolve, is there not? But somehow, no, no, no. It's just the teeny, teeny, tiny, and the big, big, big. Okay. Worship that, right? Keep doing it, and keep looking at this and being like, ha ha, ha, the cults and religious people are the ones that hold creepy rituals and this and that. Wow, you are the ultimate ritualizer of just creepiness, relentless creepiness, all masked as somehow just diversity and freedom and just libertines everywhere. Amazing, all because you just feel so liberated and so progressive and so philosophical and just so smart. Everyone's just so smart, yet they're so. Why are they crying then? If they're so smart, then why are they crying? And why are they relentlessly begging? Hmm. Who knows? But this guy knows.
You can remember the moment before, you have a concept of some kind of linear progression
Oh, what bash.
of time. The main ingredient of time, or the main ingredient of memory, is space.
Because who knew what exactly? Everybody's living from like a time and place, time and place, time and place. So, today was okay, but tomorrow will be better. And next week, oh, I have so many things coming up and blah blah blah. Whoa, right? Everybody's just, it's an apparent linear bash, right? And it's on a schedule. Yet that's what governs you, okay? Because that's what you worship ultimately. And so when you hear things like, "Well, time don't exist," or what is he talking about? So this guy has to talk about memory. So then memory is just like, oh, okay, well, I remember what I did this morning, so therefore I have some, linear bash or well, um, okay, if you say so, but it's not a direct correlation. No, that's why you're the one that's making it. But even so, right? So if somebody just reset, right? Reset your lobotomize you every night, and then all of a sudden you woke up and you're like, whoa, I don't remember anything. Okay, it's just today, Groundhog Day. So who knew that even though you hold that chronological bash notion of time, right? Apparently through schedules and stuff, you're still living Groundhog Day because you're just living the same thing over and over and over and over and bash, bash, bash. And then you say, "Oh, that's why life sucks." No, wow, who knew life is relentlessly bringing life forth? But no, you say, "Oh, life is just crappy because yeah, I didn't do what I wanted to do in my schedule. I didn't get to do my to-do list, and I just sucky, suck. What a shame, right?" Exactly. You're bashed by your own illusion of what time is or what time is not. All lost because you have no idea what you're living. No idea. You think you're blasting in one of these marbles following some crushed ball of gas that's just somehow blasting. Look, amazing, amazing.
Because if time is keeping track of information in the space,
It's not keeping time. What? See, they have to make all these things. If this, if that, then. Never certainty. Why not? Why are they full of uncertainty? Well, it's because their models are exactly that, models. All to just project of an interpretation of what the living is. Wow! All the while just bashing and abusing life. Who knew? All for the common good of some betterment that somehow will come if you just believe it enough. The betterment of your own self, saving and bash worship of light and just nothing. Trying to wake as many people up to this. To this. This guy's like, yeah, we all just need to wake people up to this. And his bash interpretation of how geometry just smashes and makes everything. Wow, amazing. So What's going on?
that we call memory. It's like writing on a hard
So
drive
wouldn't
or
your
on
memory
an
also
optical
be a
disc,
pattern?
like
Wouldn't your
or
memory
on an
also
optical
be a
disc, like a CD
pattern?
or a DVD. You're actually
Right? Because every time you recall something, it's different, is it not? Yet it's still accessing the same, sense of what was filtered in the living through that supposed situation, right? So what does that even mean? And what is it that we end up carrying, right, as baggage, right, as memory, the things that we relentlessly think about and weigh us down, or this and this and that and this and that and that and this and this and that, right? Because there's some another passage that says, well, if I told the truth, then I wouldn't have to remember anything, right? Anybody that tells the truth doesn't have to remember a thing, right? So this guy's saying, well, remembering means time exists, and somehow it doesn't. And you know what? So if somebody doesn't remember anything, that means they're telling the truth. Mm. So again, just wordsmithings of what? Because truly, life is life. Generation after generation after generation that you called successions of man. Yet it's all the same relentless opportunity of what? Exactly, you have no clue. You have no clue because you just worship past lives, reincarnation, this, the other, that, this, that, and the other. And of course, this blasting thing
leaving
that's
a
just the
trail
patterns of
of
the orbits.
information in the structure of space. And whatever defines coordinates in space is a set of information in the structure of space-time. You can get
Oh, so now he's saying, oh, so if there's space, as you know, as Dave, there's memory in space, and then this and that. So,
just from realizing that memory, if it's inherent to us, then it's inherent to the universe.
oh, of
That
course.
means that you should be able to use the network and transfer information from this side of the universe to the other side of the universe without having to go through all the points in between.
Oh, right. So who knew that he's talking about using, starports, portals, and all this stuff, right? And channeling. That's what he's talking. That's what he's actually talking about. Because he's like, oh, how do you think people channel to the Palladians? Instantaneously through at the speed of thought, right? And that's where they get their wisdom from. From some constellation of the Palladians and this and that and this and that and here, there, the other, there. Well, so they were on Earth, but yet they talked with Earth. So that means they connected, they traveled, they communicated directly somehow, right? Channeling, right? At least in their own right explanations of how it is. But this guy's saying, no, he's adding to that. He's saying, yeah, we can actually, if we can traverse through those and access that.
So, that can lead to very, very advanced civilizations. Well, like we
Right, because not only can we just now blast through starports and this and that, but we can also relentlessly communicate with other parts of the universe. If we just sit down into the abyss and blast and blast and blast.
we're talking about the integration of all the bodies, there's no longer a separation between technology and spirituality. Spirituality in general is the physics we haven't understood yet.
Oh, really? Spirituality is the physics we haven't understood yet. So somehow physics is a spiritual endeavor, and somehow the spiritual is just the physics that hasn't been explained yet. Wow, what is that Bash saying anyway? Nothing.
Spiritual concepts are typically precursor to the understanding of the dynamics of the mechanics of the
No. So the spiritual knows, right, is filled with the wisdom of the Father. Physics and everything are the musing and the meandering of trying to explain life in a state of being void of the love unconditional of the lover. Yeah, the Father that has give loves you so much. He giveth brings life forth relentlessly, despite what you will see and say, oh, what a torment. Oh, it's just horrific. Oh, I wouldn't bring life into this mess. Oh, right, you wouldn't, but the Creator does, because that's what the purpose is. Life everlasting. Who knew? But no, you deny it, and therefore you cry. You hate it. You can't stand it. You want it to go and crush your. You want to say, "Oh, why does it have to be that? I wanted it to be this." Exactly. Still, you. Wow, just full of anger.
Universe, the way it works, just by mere fact that we're made of the universe, so we don't really have a choice on the matter.
So you're made of from the universe, or you're made in the universe, so you don't have a choice. So this guy's just wordsmithing you, wordsmithing you. Just giving you false hope that you could. Our knowledge of that time does not exist, and somehow it's just infinitely, it's just memory of this, so somehow we have connection of, past and,
Or the main ingredient of memory is space, because if
space.
time is keeping track of information in the space that we call memory, it's like writing on a hard drive or on an optical disc like a CD or a DVD. You're actually leaving a trail of information in the structure of space, and whatever defines coordinates in space is a set of information in the structure of space-time.
So you navigate from one memory to the other, and it's just like you traveling through space. And somehow, if you can come to manipulate how you travel or coordinate within that space, somehow you'll just become enlightened. Is that what this guy is saying? Well, he's surely inferring to that. So somehow his illuminated bash is gonna illuminate you and give you more false promise of how you can come to just even go higher in your ascension to spiritual enlightenment. Because he said there's no distinction truly between technology and spiritualism right now, right? That's what he said. It's just we haven't figured out yet. The spiritual is what physics hasn't explained yet. Oh, I mean, you watch it for yourself again. But all based on this bash to explain patterns. To explain the patterns, right? But who knew why? Explain them for what? To boast about them, right? Because who knew that what? Why do you need to boast about them? And say how you were the one that figured out how it worked and what it does, and then how you use it for science and fractal creation through mathematics, and somehow you're the genius. When you just explain how something works and then you mimic it, you're mimicking it through some bash, mathematics, number squiggly things that somehow bash and just give you some resulted counterfeit that looks pretty close to what life already is and does. Wow. No, 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 no. And who knew that the iPhone is the ultimate counterfeit of what life does? Provide the image that you're in relentlessly and brings life forth. But no, you now you stare into a screen of an image that you worship, and then it sucks you in and blah 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 blah. Right? It doesn't bring life forth relentlessly. No, it takes life away relentlessly. So I mean, the things that you have created supposedly to somehow enhance you and just take you to the next batch of evolution is the lie, because it's not taking you anywhere but to your own destruction, with all the smithering words and all the apparent temptations and attractiveness of some bash things that somehow look so similar to the real thing. Wow. But somehow, oh, we've saved lives with it, and this and that, and just added so much texture and just amazement to life. It's made life that much more interesting and blah blah blah, and somehow it's made it more easy to live, right? Wow, what a shame. Has it? Of course it hasn't. It's made it more complex and somehow not real, right? Just like the atom thing. Well, oh, complex or real? Ah, it's just bashed, right? Look it up yourself because this from this clip, there's just a few seconds here
We're worried
that are
more about
interesting.
quantity instead of quality.
People understand that certain foods in the food supply are addictive. So, sugar mainly and processed foods are designed to be addictive. You know, I've met with top leaders in the food industry, and they explained to me how they have taste institutes where they hire craving experts to create the bliss point of food and heavy users. I mean, these are their internal terminology about creating addictive foods, and they harvest taste buds and put them in the lab, and then they test different things against them to create the most pleasurable experience. And we know biologically that it affects your brain like cocaine or heroin or alcohol, and that we can map that out.
Because of the law.
Oh, and we can map that. Did you catch that?
It affects your brain like cocaine or heroin or alcohol, and that we can map that out.
Oh, so again, going back to your robot technologies and all this mapping, right? The data mapping and bashing you into the future, right? Because what's the map? Oh, they're making it for you relentlessly and making you chase the apparent treasure that's on the map or whatever it is that they put set out for you to go find or go fulfill. Or through this you will be fulfilled. And this and that and this and that and wow. And they couldn't wait to put this Dalai Lama, some Lama. Oh, amazing, right? Because what's going on? This guy's telling you something, right? Patterns, relentless patterns, right? To just get you to fall in a trap. And all of a sudden you're doing things and you're craving things that, wow, all of a sudden you don't know why, or just, oh, can't get enough. And who knew that that's the whole point? They sell what it is you want. We sell what you want, what you need, what you think you will need. Because now you're a little, you about yourself to say, well, I can't always get what I want, but sometimes I don't I shouldn't go for what I want. I should go for what I need. Yes. And then you give your points for that, blah blah blah. But no, who knew that you're being sold what you think it is you need? And of course, sometimes they go full on lust and like, we know it's a guilty pleasure, but here you go a little bit. Yeah. Right? This and that and this and that and this and this, just patterns ritualized into you, right? Repeated relentlessly into you, right? So who knew that things like this, he's telling you, they can map it, they are mapping it, they have mapped it, and now it's you in the game, and he's out there posting and pushing some book or whatever, right? Telling you all about it. Why weren't they telling you about it before when they were doing it before? Well, all of a sudden now we think it's best to do it now and blah, 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 blah. It's just a modern phenomenon. No, it's not. Deceit is not what? Modern. Yet man has been deceived again. So look at what you have ritualized. What is your ritualistic behavior? Right? For what it surely produces is not in alignment with life itself. And you say, well, it is because we're just like animals and look what animals do. No, 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 no. Don't turn it into some bash animal worship. For clearly, men and women are not animals. Yet we are led to believe we are, and we cannot let go of that because it means everything else that we worship falls apart. But who knew that it's designed exactly so it's like that, so that you won't even think about straying? All just making you a sitting duck for all the self help wisdom and this and that and this and science and the science of God and this and that and this and this and that, and how technology and spiritualism is the same thing, and all the church advocates for it and has advocated for it, and blah 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 blah. Groundhog Day. So humble yourself, of course. Why not? Oh, I'm too proud. That's just the way I am. Okay. But for those who understand and can recognize what it means, humble yourselves. Yes. Admit you are wrong. Seek the refuge in truth. Ask the Father to fill you with the wisdom necessary in your own life, right? In your situation to overcome whatever it is that's going on, to overcome. Yes. Who knew? But no, no, no. It has to be that we must overcome capitalism and this and this and racism and that and this and that and this and that. Wow, lost. For those are the things in name only of what the world wants you to believe it's all about. But no. It's those that are deceived to navigate within those, and those are their parameters, or those who are seeking the only true wisdom of not themselves, but of the Father, of the Creator who knew. And only with that wisdom can we even come to attempt to endure and overcome our own fleshly strife. And who knew in doing so are the works that are talked about of highest principalities, that in living we may come to be of a child, a full worshiper of a child of God. And why is it that we cannot distinguish, the children of God from the children of Satan, the children of the lie? Why is it that there can be there's no distinction? Because we have been brainwashed to believe that everything can coexist. Good and evil can coexist. Good and evil can coexist forever. What does that even mean? Nothing. For truly it's death, right? Life in a flash, being passed between good and evil is surely death. For the true promise is life everlasting, the resolve, the rid of doubt forever. The, the purpose of creation who knew life forever with the Father in zero doubt, full of certainty, full of unconditional love. And in the flesh, seeking refuge in truth brings peace so that we may endure this bashing of good and evil that's relentlessly out there deceiving, right? The knowledge of good and evil. And that's the whole purpose of movies like Star Wars. It can be used for good or evil. The Force, right? The sorcery, the alchemy, this, that, the other. They attempt to be like gods, can be used for good or evil. Wow, what bash, right? Serving two masters. No. For the force of life that is the only promise, right? Is one. It is singular. It is not dualistic. So life is not, life is, right? It is without death. Yet life in the sense of life in self-awareness in the flesh is surely death. But how visible is it to us, right? How visible is it to us in the patterns that we see in a daily day, and in a daily life? Well, it's relentless. It doesn't stop. Yet we have blinded ourselves over time, right? Gradually over time, modern understanding, right? Because are they referring to non-modern times before you would see and just see the masterpiece of the workings of the creator in his creation? Who knew? Because the modern one had to take time to understand and develop, right? So that we could then boast in it and say, "Oh yeah, we have created the counterfeit. It's ready." We'll end it there.